Hello there, welcome to Pen Positive with Vinod. And today we're going to talk about deep work. We're going to talk about the book Deep Work by Cal Newport. I knew there was something called deep work, but till I read the book, I did not know that it was that deep. I got the book from the library just before we started the stay at home, and it has been with me, so it gave me some time to not just read but also go through it and try out a few things. So if you've seen my book videos before, we've got two parts to it. One part is that tells you what is in it, what is in the book, and the second part is that tells you what did I get as a reader reading the book. So if you have subscribed to the channel, thank you. If you have not subscribed to the channel, subscribe, like, comment and share. Let's have a conversation. You can always follow us on LinkedIn at Pen Positive, Instagram at Pen Positive, Facebook at Pen Positive, and if you want to reach me, you can do so at agile@penpositive.com if you have any requirements, any needs for agile consulting, coaching and training, because that's what I do for a living. Anyway, let's get into the meat of the video. What is in it? What is in the book Deep Work? So what is in it? There are two parts to the book, and there are about 7 chapters. So the first part is the idea. Cal Newport explains to us what the idea of deep work really is. And the second part is the rules. He gives us tips, certain rules, disciplines, things that we can follow to get things done. So let's go to the first chapter. First chapter is deep work is valuable. In our current world, for us to really perform, thrive, there are two things according to him. One is we should be able to learn hard things, learn really tough things. We should be able to learn quickly. We should be able to also deliver value. We should be able to deliver with quality and speed. So two things. One is be able to learn hard things fast, and then to be able to deliver with quality and speed. So both of these things are really valuable for us to thrive in the current world, and according to him, deep work is valuable because it helps us to do both of these. The next one is deep work is rare. I don't think you thought it was so common, but when you read the book, you realize it is really rare. I knew I did not really have a lot of deep work, but I figured out I am part of the majority, and deep work is pretty rare. You know, people try to think, and what he says is busyness as a proxy for productivity. And that's probably, you see a lot of people busy, but that doesn't mean they are doing deep work. So deep work is rare. And the third part of the idea is deep work is meaningful. And I think that, see, even when you know that you cannot do deep work, when you realize that in such a distracted world, we find it very difficult to do deep work, that itself tells us that deep work should be meaningful. And in this chapter, what he does is that he gives us various psychological arguments to why deep work will be meaningful. But even without all those arguments, I think the fact that it is very difficult to do deep work makes it pretty meaningful if you can really be able to do that. Now that was part one. Now part two, he goes into a bit more detail into what is it that we can do to achieve deep work. So the first chapter in that is work deeply. How do you work deeply? So he's taking us through 4 different philosophies of working deeply. And one is the monastic philosophy, one is the bimodal philosophy, one is the rhythmic philosophy, and then one is the journalistic philosophy. So this first one, monastic philosophy, is where you completely disconnect yourself from everything and fully focus on work. that you have nothing else. You might go to some place where you don't even have any way to connect with the external world. That's monastic philosophy. The bimodal is where you have huge chunks of uninterrupted work that you might take weeks together, 2 weeks, and then completely focus on a work. That is bimodal, and then get back to the other work. The rhythmic model is where on a daily basis you work or you do deep work on a rhythm. There are times in the day that you fall into this rhythm of doing deep work. And the journalistic method is where you switch between deep work and shallow work on a regular basis. And he says it's very difficult, because for us to switch just like that into deep work and shallow work is kind of tough. For me personally, I like the rhythmic philosophy, and I think that kind of aligns with how I can do deep work. Monastic is tough. Bimodal is not practical at this moment. And journalist, I don't think I go with that. I don't think I can switch that fast into things. So he talks about those philosophies, and then he goes into certain rules in terms of focusing on what is really important. He also says that we need to have some lead measures and some visual boards, scoreboards, which tells us that we are doing deep work, we are progressing. Some of these things are typically how we do in Agile as well, where we need to have visual scoreboard and program board which tells us what progress we are making and what improvement we are making. So he gives us few rules, few techniques, few disciplines for us to move forward with that. And then the next one is embrace boredom. And we live in a world where no one is bored. They always, kids, adults, we always have our phones with our tablet or our mobile phone, and we always on it. So we have forgotten what it really means to be bored. And he says embrace boredom. And he says you need to take breaks. It is not taking breaks from distractions, it is taking breaks from what you've been focusing on and then relaxing. But typically what people do is that you're always distracted on your phone, emails, notifications, and then you take a break to do some work and then get back into distraction. That's not the way. You should be focused on doing deep work and then take a break, relax, and get back into deep work. So that is, we need to learn how to embrace boredom. Then quit social media. That was a tough chapter for me. I use a lot of social media. So Cal Newport, you cannot find him in Facebook or Twitter. He doesn't use social media. He even limits his use of technology or email or anything like that. So for me, he says quit social media. I don't know how practical that is personally for me. I don't know about you, but that's one of his suggestions, and he gives us some methods and techniques of how to quit social media. Drain shallows. That is the final chapter, and there what he says is there is so much shallow work that we do. Yeah, everyone talks about the Pareto principle of 80% of the work that we do is getting wasted. It's not of any value. Only 20% of the work is valuable, and all those things are there. But there is so much shallow work. You have meetings, you have PowerPoint presentations, you have all these things, and it is important for us to drain those shallows out and focus on real deep work. And he explains, he gives us some examples of how people have tried it. I think Basecamp, they gave their employees a 1 month off so that they could work deeply on the projects and on the work. So that they, for 1 month, they are not distracted by any shallow activities, meetings, presentations, and all other things. They're all taken off their table, off their calendar, so that they can focus on their work. Sometimes I've actually seen that it works. There are people who take off from work so that they can work. Such bad situation it is when it comes to meetings. Now, let me take a look at, or let me share what I got out of reading the book. What did I get? So first thing, I figured out it's not easy. So when someone tells you that deep work, yeah, you can do deep work, yeah, it's okay, I can try it. No, it's easy. No, it's tough. It is tough. When you read the book, you know that it's tough, but you can still do it. But it's not easy. That's what I got from the book. Social media, drain shallow. So Cal Newport says quit social media, and I don't think I can quit social media, but I might probably take the drain shallow, the last chapter in his book, and put it into the quit social media, and I will probably I think I have deep and shallow work happening on social media. So I think I'll probably find out the shallow work on social media and drain them out and not do it. Coming to shallow work, there are times when you see people working on PowerPoints, right? They spend so much time on PowerPoints, beautifying it, making it good, look good, and then changing it. I used to work in a team where, finally, I think, what difference does it make whether it looks like a cube or looks like a cylinder, right? And the amount of effort people put into that, and finally, you go into a meeting where half of the people are not even attending to your presentation. Look at the total amount of shallow work that happens in offices. So, but on social media, I'm sure 90% of the things that I do on social media might be shallow. So, which means I could probably gain 90% work by just not quitting social media, but just draining shallow. Take one deep project. And I think that's the best way to really analyze, understand, know the method, and have a grasp of it, is to take one deep project. I read the book and I thought about it, but I couldn't find any deep project that I can start working on. So, but that's one thing that I want to do. Train kids about deep work. I thought as a kid I used to do deep work, or at least we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have computers, we didn't have any of these gadgets, and if we don't have that, that means we should have done some deep work. But what's happened now? We're not able to do deep work. So what about the kids? They're already on gadgets. They're already distracted. So do you think there's going to be deep work when they grow up? That's going to be tough. So in a totally distracted world, if kids can have that ability, that faculty to do deep work, I think that's going to benefit them a lot. So I think teaching kids about deep work is one of the things I'm going to do. That is what I got from the book. Try the rhythmic philosophy. So I'm going to do the rhythmic philosophy. I've already started that. When you like reading books or working on courses or working on some learning that I do or teaching, I try to preparing for programs. So I kind of do that on a rhythmic philosophy, because you don't have the luxury to go bimodal or monastic, and you don't have the capability to be journalistic. So I have to settle to the rhythmic philosophy. It is scary. And why is it scary? It is scary because knowing that deep work is very rare, as a common man, it feels very scary. Because we always feel we are not doing any deep work, we are pretty shallow, but this world, there are a lot of people doing a lot of deep work, and that's why this world exists and things are happening. But when you know deep work is rare, it is scary. And it becomes urgent for people to start looking at deep work and trying to find meaning in it. And finally, all is not lost. So one good thing when you read these books is it tells you what you're wrong, and it tells you what problems you have. It also tells you that it's not too late and you can still make a difference, and there is still an opportunity to change. There is room for growth, improvement. So that is what deep work is all about. So usually when I make these videos, I tag the author, but since Cal Newport is not there on social media, so I don't think I'm going to be able to tag him. But read the book. And just one more point to add. So social media, the quitting social media. So though I don't know if I can do that, one thing that I'm doing is I'm reading Cal Newport's other book called Digital Minimalism, because that could give me some ideas on how to drain shallow with social media. So again, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe, like, comment, share. And if you want to reach me on email, it's agile@penpositive.com. The name is Vinod Narayan. Thank you. Have a nice day, and I'll see you again in another video.